Throughout the country today, many major cities and towns will be witness to protests against the policies of this government, which are making the poorest and most vulnerable people in our society pay for the financial crisis which was not brought about by them, but by people who continue to get richer at their expense. This national campaign of protest is being coordinated by the People's Assembly and includes individuals from all walks of life and various organisations such as trade unions, the Green Party, people who work in the NHS and other local services. People who want to see the values of fairness and equality and justice as the basis of our society. The growth in the number of people relying on food banks is evidence of people finding it impossible to feed themselves and their families. And austerity hasn't even begun to really bite yet. The current crisis was not caused by overspending in the public sector, but by reckless risk-taking by the private finance sector, encouraged and permitted by the government. Our society today is becoming ever more unequal. In the London Borough of Westminster, there is almost a 20-year gap in the life expectancy between the wealthiest and the poorest residents. In Glasgow, that rises to 30 years. In the UK, and if that's not bad enough, the UK and the poorest in other parts of the world, the gap is even wider. Neither situation is fair, equal or just. According to last month's State of the Nation report, child poverty is overwhelmingly a problem facing working families. Even John Major acknowledges that many people are facing the choice of either eating or heating their homes. The gap between earnings and prices is growing wider by the day. Yet this government does nothing to redress this. The recent sell-off of the Royal Mail saw the banks advising the government made profits of £29 million. This on top of their £17 million fees they trousered for that advice in the first place. This and previous governments have failed to address climate change. David Cameron said his administration would be the greenest ever, but his government is considering letting off the fossil fuel industry of any commitment to paying green taxes. Why should gas and electricity companies be allowed to pollute the planet, endangering communities around the world, especially the poorest, whilst at the same time raise bills to pay themselves fat profits? Surely the time has come to nationalise the utility companies and transport. Surely the time has come to resist the privatisation of the NHS. This government spreads the lies that anything and everything in the public sector is inefficient and expensive. They gloss over G4S and the many other scandals in which private firms have been caught putting profit before the well-being of this country. This government supports privatisation because they are on the side of big business, on the side of the rich and powerful. Services provided by local and central government are staffed by people who are conscientious, have a vocation and are committed to others. Profit and getting rich quick does not motivate them. Their salaries are low, their wages have been frozen, and now even their pensions are being eroded and their jobs are at risk. But the bankers still get their bonuses even when they mess up. The very rich are getting richer, yet they are allowed to evade taxes. But the poor and vulnerable are being squeezed, forced to use food banks, forced to move away from their support network of family and friends because housing support is being cut. Is this right? Will this lead to a fairer, more equal, more just society? The political classes wonder why fewer and fewer people vote. The answer is simple. Fewer and fewer people believe they have any stake in society. They have concluded that successive governments do not care about them and pursue their own greedy agenda. We need a reform of our democratic system to ensure governments are held accountable and not supported by corporate self-interest. Legal aid is being cut, and thereby ordinary people are losing any semblance of equality before the law. Only the rich will be represented before the law. This is not democracy in action. If a free society cannot help the many who are poor, it cannot save the few who are rich. Think on, Wokingham. Resist the austerity measures. Protest. Write to your MP, councillors. Get in touch with the People's Assembly. Make your voice and opposition heard loud and clear. Support the poor and vulnerable. Don't demonise them. Away with austerity. Put the bonfire on this evening. Thank you.